Okay, so it's no secret that the real estate market has changed dramatically since about the middle of February. I'm going to shed some light on what I've seen over the last couple months, what I think we're going to start seeing in the future, and what this means overall for sellers and for buyers. This shouldn't come as a surprise to most people as we start to see the market shift, because everybody recognized over the last 2 years that the real estate market was absolutely insane and extremely unhealthy. And now sellers are in a position where they can't just basically throw their house on the market for any price that they want and force a buyer to purchase it because there's nothing to choose from. Because now sellers are no longer in competition with buyers and trying to have buyers fight over their home. Sellers are now in competition with other sellers, which has been the first time it's been like this in 2 years. And what everybody has to recognize, specifically sellers and even buyers in this case, is the market we were in is not normal. Okay, so what we've been experiencing obviously over the last 2 years is not normal. We've had this happen in 2017. The exact same thing happened actually. All this pent up demand, no supply, the government stepped in and it changed the mindset of a lot of people. And then just after that, we found ourselves in a normal market after we saw about a 30% dip in 2017. But 6 months later, we saw an uptick again, but it was not going at such a dramatic rate. We were seeing that annual 5% increase. And over the last 2 years, the average seller, specifically for 2021, if you were a homeowner, specifically here in Durham region, you made about $250,000 just for being a homeowner. A normal market is when you put your house on the market for a realistic price and you try and negotiate as close as you can to the asking price. Because in a balanced market, which it seems like that's where we're heading, you know, your house is gonna sit on the market for 14 to 30 days, which isn't a bad thing because, again, going back to the last 2 years, houses were selling within hours, and that is just not normal. That is not common. So it's gonna take some time for buyers and sellers to understand that that old market is now past us. Now, before we jump further into today's video, my name is Kyle Duke. I am a full-time real estate agent in the Durham region and the surrounding areas, and I've been selling real estate full-time for the past 9 years. And if at any point throughout this video you would like to schedule a 30-minute call with me, whether you're looking to buy, sell, or invest real estate, click the link below in the description. It will take you directly to where you can schedule a time and date with me and ask me any real estate related questions. So for the past 2 years, if you were a seller, you were in the driver's seat. You had full control of your property. You basically could get any buyer to pay any price for your home, which is obviously very unsettling, but that's the market we were in because there was just no inventory and an insane amount of demand. And to add to that, borrowing money from the bank was basically free, so that was a big driver in why we saw all these buyers come out of nowhere. And during those 2 years, I saw tons of homes that sold for insane prices that were basically teardowns, but buyers just didn't have a choice. They had to buy something at a necessity, whether it was for work, family, whatever the situation was. People were buying homes because they didn't have a choice no matter the condition. And for the first time in 2 years, selling your home is not easy, but it doesn't have to be impossible. And for what we're seeing right now, I don't think it's very surprising that we're starting to see a month-over-month decrease in prices and signs of a shifting market. And let's think about that for a second, right? You have inflation that's over 5%. The Bank of Canada has raised their interest rates multiple times, in the first quarter. You have buyer demand because they're sitting back going, okay, I want to wait to see what goes on with the market over the next 2 or 3 weeks. You have less showings on homes. You have less offers on homes. Buyers are getting approved for less. They're getting qualified at over 6% as the stress test in some cases. There's just a lot of things that are changing in the market, and it's shifting the mindset of a buyer. And there's just a lot of uncertainty in the market right now. We start to see all this inventory. I personally have had buyers take their foot off the gas because they want to see what's going on. And really, I don't blame them. No one knows how low it's going to go. My personal opinion is I think we're going to start seeing kind of a level off period in the next coming months. But again, no one knows how low it's going to go. And with the Bank of Canada making another interest rate hike likely in June, a lot of people are taking their foot off the gas to see what goes on with that. And then usually, a 2 or 3 week window after the Bank of Canada makes an announcement, it slows down pretty aggressively and then picks back up. Okay, so I briefly want to speak on terminated listings and what we're seeing over the last 30 to 60 days. So on the market right now, there are tons of properties that are for sale with the days on market climbing over 30, 40 days. And the reason for that is they're not real sellers. They're testing the market. They're trying to get somebody to buy their home from the January prices, but we're in May now. So obviously there's a flood of inventory on the market, and most of the people are actually trying to sell, whether they're moving up, moving out of the province, or they're just trying to get into the next property. But when you see all these articles about consistent terminated listings, all these price changes, yeah, that is happening, and it's not every home that is, sitting on the market because they're asking for unrealistic list prices. But at the same time, there are tons of those out there, so keep that in mind when you're looking at the days on market. Now, most agents, and I'll speak for myself here, I personally look at this market shift as a positive. Because over the last 2 years, it's been almost impossible to educate my clients, and I know a lot of other agents were struggling with that part of educating them on the market conditions. And what I mean by that is, before, what we would do in a normal market is sit down, go over all the solds, go at who you're competing with, look at, okay, do we show better than this home? Do we not show better than this home? And then we come up with our price based on that information. Where now over the last 2 years, it's been like, okay, let's just throw it up at $799. You'll probably get 1.4 million. And that is not the way a market should be. So when you listed your home in the last 2 years, it basically came down to, what do you want to get for it? Because the only question I would get asked from buyer agents is, what is your seller's expectation? Because then I will inform my buyer. And it was really based on what buyers were out that week. And if you caught a buyer that is emotionally buying a home because they've lost multiple times, that's when you start seeing these insane numbers come to your property on offer night. But now as the market begins to shift, days on market are up, you're not having showings roll in every 30 minutes, you're obviously starting to see signs of a cooling market. And buyers finally, after 2 years, have some breathing room. Now I wanna make the point that there are homes that are still going into multiple offers in the market because there is still a lot of demand. And there are a lot of people that are trying to buy into the market before their pre-approval is up, because if they don't purchase and close, then they're now going to have to get requalified at today's current rates, which is very, very likely higher than what they got approved for earlier in the year. Now, I think it's going to be very interesting in the real estate market over the next few months, specifically for sellers. It's not going to be as easy as they once heard from their neighbor, and there's going to be more work involved to get your home in top showing condition. And I know a lot of people selling their home are not going to like that, but that is the reality we are in today. And like I said earlier in the video, it's obviously not going to be as easy to sell your home, but it doesn't have to be impossible. The most important thing you can do right now as a seller is be realistic with your price. You're going to be running into more competition than you ever thought you would run into, specifically over the last 2 years. And you have to do everything in your power to make sure your home shows the best. And on top of that, if your home is overpriced and buyers are very, very knowledgeable now, specifically what's going on, they're gonna know right away based on the list price whether you're actually a motivated seller or you're just testing the market. And yeah, it sucks to hear that your home is not worth what it was in January, but if you look at a year-over-year comparison, most people who are homeowners right now in Durham region are still up 20% year over year, which is pretty incredible. Because again, going back to a normal / healthy market, the annual return that most people are looking for on their real estate investment is 5%. So if you are someone that's thinking of selling, take a step back and look at the glass half full rather than half empty. So what do you have to do to sell your home in a shifting market for top dollar? Number one is you have to put the work in. You're gonna have to do those touch-ups, the baseboards, the trim, the crown molding. You're gonna have to change all the things that are gonna start making buyers calculate what they have to put on paper and the work that's involved the day they move in. Because if you don't put that work in, think about it from your perspective as a seller. Now, if you're gonna go start shopping for a property, if the home needs all this work, you're not going to give them top dollar. No one's going to do that. Because at the end of the day, in this shifting market, buyers are looking for excuses to lowball you. And yeah, it's going to be offensive at times, but you have to recognize whatever market you're buying and selling in, you're going to be doing the exact same thing. And number two, which is probably the most important, is look at who you're competing with. You're likely going to be competing with 20 or 30 other listings that are going to be comparable to you. So if your home is priced way too high based on those other list price, you understand that buyers are probably going to choose to go see those homes before they see yours. And that doesn't mean you have to give your home away, but you also have to be realistic in today's marketplace. And if you are somebody that is trying to sell your home, that should be the sole focus, is still getting top dollar based on a year-over-year comparison. And lastly, number three is hiring a realtor that's been through this market before. Because now is when the skilled agents are gonna shine. Before, you could hire somebody that would stick a sign in your lawn, take some cell phone photos, and it would sell. That's great, but there's no skill involved in that. You need somebody that's been in this transition market before, that still knows how to negotiate on your behalf, knows how to properly market your home, and actually knows how to make sure your home stands out above everybody else and you're at the top of the list. Because if you're not at the top of the list when it comes to buyers searching online, based on how your home shows, you're not getting any offers. Now, as market trends change, I will continue to put out more information on the marketplace, but if at any time you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. My name is Kyle Duke with Rebel Real Estate. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video, and I'll talk to you soon.